Global issues are more and more relevant to young people. How can 21st century learners make sense of the world and their place in it?
We've got enough money though to buy a ruler now.
The new national curriculum opens up space for the QCA's global dimension, helping pupils see their own lives in context, in subjects beyond citizenship or RE. But what does this actually mean in the classroom?
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's a big fire at the end.
Two comprehensives in Yorkshire have been finding out. Prince Henry's in Otley near Leeds have a track record of engaging with global issues.
We started out when we became a specialist language college in looking at global issues in a very tokenistic way, and I think for a long time we thought putting up lots of flags and having theme days and so on was doing the global dimension in school, and of course it's not. But we've made I think a huge amount of progress over the last 6 or 7 years. What we're encouraging staff to do is look for those opportunities and where they can tweak things in lessons, put a global slant on things so that it enhances what they're teaching already rather than getting in the way of it.
And I've put down in front of you the 8 concepts that I'm referring to here about the global dimension up on the board. Now what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be exploring these.
Underlying the global dimension are 8 key concepts, including social justice, diversity and human rights. John's taken the imaginative step of mapping these directly onto a GCSE novel, Lord of the Flies.
Global dimension comes up whether you like it or not when you do study Lord of the Flies, in terms of what Golding set out to do and his message about war and conflict and peace and resolution. The class is having their mock examinations next week, so we set out today to make it explicit and also to use the 8 key concepts as a revision tool.
Aye.
Right, so talk me through what you found so far.
Well, conflict and resolution, we thought, well, first one.
That's a pretty obvious thing.
Throughout the whole of the novel, you get the conflict.
Yeah,
But you don't necessarily get the resolution.
There
never seems to be there's always conflict, even if it's the smallest things between them.
They can never sort it out. They can never finish it.
What about sustainable development then? Can you find in relation to the novel?
When they made the mistake of killing the pig, the mother pig.
Okay. And in what sense does that harm them?
Well, it's not that because they've killed the mother pig. There's going to be no more in the future for them. So it's just that one.
Ties in nicely with the sustainable development. Okay.
John's found he can work with all the key concepts, but can this happen in all subjects?
I don't think it's as simple as sort of saying we've got these 8 key concepts and we're going to, do this across the school and choose where we're going to do each thing. It's really looking at opportunities, identifying those and then exploiting them. I think the way not to do the global dimension is for me to sit down with a big plan of the curriculum and to allocate different parts of the global dimension to different departments and say, right, please can you do this, please can you do that, off you go. I think that would be an absolute disaster if staff aren't engaged and on board, and I'm not the subject expert, they are.
Creative lessons with a global dimension take planning and specialist knowledge. At Meadowhead School near Sheffield, teachers from different departments are meeting their advisor from Leeds Development Education Centre.
It's not helpful if subject areas feel they have to do everything, tick all the boxes religiously. You've got to do what works with your own subject content, which is why
you can't shoehorn things in for the sake of it, or else it just wouldn't work. It's got to be what works best for the lesson at the right time, right place in the curriculum, and so on. We've been looking at 1066 and the Battle of Hastings, and today's lesson was the aftermath, how William treated the Saxons after the invasion. We started to look at the comparison of 1066 and what's happening right now in the Congo. How do we think William will have treated the people in England? Okay, he's won the Battle of Hastings, Jacob. Okay, he's won, he's in charge now. Okay, how is he going to treat the people who live there?
If I was William the Conqueror, I would blackmail everybody or kill everybody who doesn't obey his rules.
Because you're showing quite clearly you're in charge, X and hands down. We're running out of time, everyone.
Stuart's Year 7 have been comparing the Norman invasion of England with current events in the Congo to consider human rights and the effects of conflict on ordinary people.
We're going to find out, are there still people like William the Conqueror today? Okay, well, we're going to compare 1066 in our country, in England. I'm going to compare it to today in a country called the Congo. Any ideas? Where might the Congo be? Right.
Africa or Australia.
First one is right. Well done. Africa. Oh, hang on. Now that one. And then they just compared, just small, like little case studies of people living in 1066 with people living now in the Congo, and they just made comparisons and said, well, that family's had lost their brothers and husbands, and that happened exactly in the same way in 1066, and they drew parallels from the two times, and then discussed, you know, the similarities, especially between the two men responsible.
General Nakunda is probably a very powerful soldier, and King William is the King of England, so they've both got really big rights. Yeah, definitely, they've both got power. If you were a Saxon or a person living in the Congo now, how would you feel about what's going on? I would feel like a badly treated animal.
I think, well, basically they're looking at it more now from a personal angle. So they're looking at how people are feeling, how they would feel if it was them living there, how these people's actions have affected just everyday life.
I would feel gutted and upset.
Okay, why?
Well, because they'd be like tearing the houses down.
Right, destroying your homes.
I feel really sad and angry because you're getting like treated badly, and they're stealing like all your food and everything.
Right, excellent. You're treating you badly to make you angry because they're taking away what's yours. Okay, very good. Liv, have you got an answer?
Sad and scared because they're taking things that they need and destroying their homes.
Very good, very good. Taking stuff that you need. Okay, we'll have one.
After empathising with individual experience, Stuart widens the discussion to consider causes of conflict.
Okay, so it says, why do you think there are still people like William the Conqueror around today? Why are some people, Joe, allowed to get away with this? Look at what General Nkunda's doing now in this country in Africa.
The government can't say what they can and can't do because they won't listen, because they're not strong enough.
That's a very good answer. So in this country, in Africa, in the Congo, okay, the government isn't strong enough to stop General Nkunda acting like William the Conqueror. Very good, very good. They really started to pick up on the fact that not really much had changed over the 1,000 years, and it was still to do with men wanting power, and it didn't really matter where it happened in the world, it would still happen if there wasn't someone to prevent these people from doing these things.
What year group was it again?
Year 7.
So you didn't do a sort of link into the United Nations and to who might prevent it happening?
To be honest, I was very conscious of keeping it a personal kind of level. So you're looking at individuals, you know, this is how it's affected my life, this is what they've done to my family. I think as soon as I could start going into the international community and saying, well, the UN should have stepped in here, it would have just gone straight over their heads.
Maths is getting a global spin to a classic topic too. Mark's Year 7 are practising shape and measure, but using a game about world trade.
Well, we played a game, the trading game, where they had to develop a piece of paper, or turn a piece of paper into tables, and they had to do that by measuring rectangles and getting an area of exactly 24 centimetres squared. Could only do that with some resources that I gave each group. Each group represented a country, and each country had a set number of resources. You're going to trade with each other to have the equipment that you need to make a mahogany table. What you have to decide is how big each side needs to be. It needs to be a rectangle shape with an area of 24. So for example, on this one, I've chosen a length of 12, a height of 2. Just confirm for me that gives me an area of 24 centimetres squared, do you agree? Yep. I will exchange for you that table for £10.
Oh, cool.
I'm hoping this will reinforce the knowledge on area, develop the idea of perimeter, and give a kind of sense on world trade.
I'll sell you that.
How much is that?
We've got enough money though to buy a ruler now.
Yeah, don't buy a ruler. And then if we have tables to get more money, then we have more money and we have our essentials.
You need a pencil to draw the table.
And also we need a pencil, a ruler and 5 pieces of paper.
Right, guys, go out and buy some more rulers.
How many? How many?
3.
8 by 4. 2. 8 by 4 and 6 by 5 and all that.
I feel I've got to share this information with you, but I've had to reject 2 tables from Country 1 because they weren't accurate, they weren't to a good standard. One of their tables did not have an area of 24 centimetres squared.
Mark kept a close eye on their maths, while the students threw themselves in, to engage with concepts of inequality, fairness and resources.
How did they go on with training with each other? How did all that take place?
That was great. I mean, a lot of countries were being unfair, even though they had excess resources. They were still unwilling to sell them. They felt that they were reducing the competition by not selling resources to tables that had nothing.
Yeah, we got some rulers and we got pencils. 5 rulers, 5 pencils and £20. So we were all right. Gav went off and got some paper and then we started off getting it and we've sold, I think, 5 tables already.
It was fair for us because we didn't need to buy anything else. But if you look at it for other tables, you'd have thought it wasn't fair.
Everyone else had like money so they could buy stuff and rulers, papers and pencils, but we only had one thing and no money.
Right, in other words, you just had the logs, you had the timber, didn't you, to use, but you didn't really have the money. Now, what kind of type of country does that remind you of?
China or Japan, somewhere poor.
Somewhere poor? Well, I'm going to say like a poorer country maybe would be... I'm thinking along the lines of somewhere maybe like Brazil or maybe Cameroon.
So you've given them an opportunity to explore your own subject, maths, but to bring in aspects of a global dimension, and maybe somebody might pick it up in a history lesson or...
I think it would be easier if it was the other way around and I researched before doing a lesson. It would be easier if I researched what had already been covered in other lessons in humanities and citizenship and lead on from that. That would be much more productive, I think, than doing it the other way around and trying to ask another teacher to finish off what I've started. And if I was going to plan a lesson like that again, which I will do, I would certainly look into what has been covered so I can have a more effective discussion afterwards.
So yeah, you need to tell people, look, this is what we're doing, this is how well it's worked, have a go yourself kind of thing. These are the lesson plans we've done, this is how just to let people know that, you know, this isn't just another idea that's come along from someone just for the sake of it. It's something that actually does work if you do it properly.
Trying to choose these 8 concepts, trying to place them in your topic, it's very, very difficult.
Yours has probably been the most difficult one to actually do, but I also think you've come up with some of the most kind of innovative ideas, that's the word we're looking for, because you had to.
Meadowhead teachers are collaborating across departments towards a coherent strategy. Prince Henry's have had longer to build their integrated approach, but the purpose is the same: creating a curriculum that's relevant to young people's lives in the real world, so they can play an active role as global citizens.
All the issues that happen on the island happen in the world, so it is just a mini sort of world with the issues that we have today.
These things naturally just arise and you deal with them because they're important. This idea of I am a member of a global community and getting people to look wider than the small community that they live in.
This thing, the global dimension, it's one of those phrases, isn't it? What does it mean? It's making it explicit, really, and the fact that we don't live in isolation and that our part in the bigger world is relevant to everything we do in school and in life.